Here?
I went to jail or whatever because they were helping the world go forward. And
all I can say is from my experience at the company, and knowing what we were looking at, I genuinely think that, what we were setting out to do would be genuinely impactful in elections. But I can't
pay for it.
I can't. I mean, it's impossible for me to isolate one factor over the other.
On the ocean floor, it's openness, conscientiousness, extroversion.
I'm trying to accept responsibility. I'm not shying away from the fact that I played an incredibly fundamental role in setting up this company. I made mistakes. I'm regretful and I'm sorry for that. But the very first thing that I have to do is tell people about it, and then the next step for me is to figure out what I can do to make good. I mean, it depends on the trait and the light. I mean, because and the frustrating thing for me is that this story has really spiraled into Facebook's bizarre reaction to it, rather than what the original story was meant to be about. And that's not necessarily an entirely bad thing. I think Facebook deserves a certain level of scrutiny, but that wasn't what I set out to do. I'm not on a crusade against Facebook.
So 2015 you left, you worked for the Trudeau campaign.
I'll put it this way, I think that it is Facebook's behavior that has caused that knock in share price. I don't think it's me.
No. And they
I think it's the reaction.
UK. In the UK, to be a permissible donor, you have to be a
I started thinking back and I kind of went, well, I don't know if this company knowingly colluded, but so that's not what I'm saying, but there was definitely a risk there because we created a very large data set of Facebook users using a professor who was going back and forth to Russia as we were talking to a bunch of Russian companies.
End up working for a military contractor in the UK.
Before I joined SCL, I sent a proposal to the University of Cambridge to look at whether I could model personality using micro-targeting approaches, and whether we could predict political behavior using psychometric data. And I showed Alexander Nix this paper, and he's like, "Oh, this is brilliant! Oh, we could totally use this!" And so he's just like, "Yes, come join, do your thing." At the beginning, I had a lot of freedom, that's what was really appealing to me at the beginning.
So one of the things that started to emerge was that
the actual environment of the company became quite toxic. Alexander Nix was a really hard person to work for, because he is like the most pleasant person when you first meet. And he's very charming, but as soon as he feels like he owns you, he really does feel like he owns you. And if you disagree with him, if you present any sort of if you challenge him on anything, he will lash out. And the amount of bullying that happened in that office was really became quite difficult to deal with. In addition to the fact that we were working for some pretty psycho candidate.